Check this out. I might have found a SpaceX Starlink router that actually prevents outages. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much once again joining me for tea time. Today we have a little bit of misty morning, and that is it. So good, clean, crisp. I hope you're joining me with your cup of tea, maybe a cup of coffee, hanging out, talking tech, talking photo, talking video. Today is a tech day. We're going to be talking about Starlink. Kinda, sorta, Starlink. This could be about any ISP. I've been working on this. I basically have made a series on this. I've been working on it for about 3 or 4 videos already, and I've bought router after router after router to see which one will actually work for me and hopefully work for you. Now, before we get into it, I want to say that if you haven't downloaded any of my ebooks as of yet, go check them out. Go over to JCristina.com/books. Once again, JCristina.com/books. Also, if you want more Starlink coverage, I have a Starlink playlist. Go to that playlist and you'll probably see about 50, 60 videos all about Starlink. Helpful tips, tricks, how-tos, commentary, all kinds of good stuff. Go check that out. Also, if you get anything from this video, please share it with your friends, family, colleagues, Reddit, Facebook, wherever, and throw the video a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel and click this little bell icon over here. So when I go live or when a new video comes out, you will be notified of it immediately. So let's get right into this. I'm going to try to make this a very short video. These videos I've been doing are just getting longer and longer and longer. I need to stop that. I get it. A lot of people are saying, can you just say it quicker? I'm trying, guys. I'm trying. There's just a lot to this. So let me just give you a quick synopsis of what we're doing and what we've done so far. All right. So the idea here is to be able to stream or to do a conference call or a Zoom call or whatever, and be able to do it without any type of hiccups, without any type of outages. Or if an outage does happen, your viewers won't be the wiser because your system that you're building out or that we are building out together will go from WAN 1 to WAN 2 if WAN 1 goes down. It will simply move to the next one. That is one way. That is called failover. The other way is load balancing. And in that method, it's using all of the data, putting it all together as an aggregate and using it as it needs to. All right. So there's 2 methodologies here. I personally would like to do a load balance so that there is a continuous, there's never a failure, quote unquote. It's just continuous service. It just slightly might get slower. That's what we've been looking to do, but none of the routers did it properly. So what have we looked at so far? We've looked at the TP-Link, the 605. Now that is a gigabit multi-WAN, VPN, blah, blah, blah router. It was very affordable. We tried that out and it took about 1 minute to do failover, like 58 seconds or something. Way too long, absurdly long. So that was just not a thing. I called TP-Link and they said, hey, check out our other more business class router, which is the ER7206. So I said, all right. That once again, that is a gigabit, multi-WAN, VPN, blah, blah, blah. It has failover and load balancing. Load balancing doesn't work properly, but we tried failover and it did the exact same thing as the 605 at half the price or at a quarter of the price. Ridiculous, okay? Once again, almost a minute to fail from WAN 1 to WAN 2 if you unplugged WAN 1. Unacceptable. From there, we moved into the UTT. That is an ER840G. And that one was pretty nice. Once again, a gigabit, multi-WAN, VPN, the whole 9 yards with failover and quote unquote load balancing, which doesn't work very well. We tried it at failover and the failover did work pretty well. It was my favorite at the time. It was about 38 seconds for the failover to complete. So from going from WAN 1 to WAN 2, if you just unplugged just abruptly WAN 1. Not too bad, but still too long for me. So there were some suggestions from you guys to check out TrendNet. So that's what I did. I picked up a TrendNet, a TWG431BR, and we tested that out and it really worked quite well. Now the failover from WAN 1 to WAN 2 only took about 8 to 10 seconds. Well, let's say 10 seconds compared to 38, that's a big difference. So we're getting better here, guys. We're getting better. The problem is with that router, when the WAN 1 came back online, it would never move from WAN 2 back to WAN 1. I talked to the guys. They said, well, it has something to do with sessions and all kinds of other stuff. But the bottom line is it won't do it. So they recommended another router, more of a business class corporate type of router. And that one is called the TrendNet, the TEW 829DRU. Now, this is actually a gigabit router with VPN and all the rest of the stuff, but it's also wireless. This is the first one that also had wireless built in. So we said, well, we're going to check that out. It was about $250, $260, somewhere around there. We checked that out and it did much better. It did the WAN 1 to WAN 2 failover in about 5 seconds. That is quick. That is the fastest yet. But once again, it had a problem with moving back to WAN 2. And it did move back, but it would take about 8 seconds of spooling. Now, if you're doing a live feed, right, people don't want to see spooling, you know, the thing's running. People just move on to something else. You can't do a live feed, or if you're doing a conference call and all of a sudden, you know, your face freezes like this and now it's spooling. It just looks ridiculous. So I asked you guys once again, what else do you want me to check? I've bought all these. I checked them all. They're not working, or they're kind of sort of working. And someone said, take a look at the PepLink Balance 20. It is a dual WAN type of setup router. It is VPN, all the rest of the stuff, gigabit. And I brought that in and I got that today and tested it out. Well, I was pretty much amazed at how it worked. But what I want to do is I want to show you the setup and go over the commentary on that setup. And then I'll tell you kind of the findings after the fact. So let's get right into that setup. All right, the password is admin. And as I always say, we need to change this immediately. So it says your current password, blah, 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 admin. Your current password is obviously admin. And now we're going to change the password to what we want it to be. That looks good enough to me. Okay, so we have 66, which is WAN 1 right here. Then we have 158, which is WAN 2. That would be AT&T. WAN 1 is Starlink. I've done nothing to set this up so far, and it is already working, having both WAN 1 and WAN 2 up. That's really nice to see. So let's go over to firmware, then check for firmware. I always like to do that before we do anything. Current firmware is 8.11. New version is 8.21. So I'm going to download an upgrade. This is something that I do with all routers. I like to make sure that we're on the latest and greatest patch. So if there's any problems with a previous version of firmware, it can be sorted. And I'm not banging my head against a wall just because there's a firmware issue that needs to be resolved. So, well, it downloaded the firmware patch. It says firmware upgrade. It may take up to 8 minutes. There it is. We are pinging. So we have your dashboard, which gives you all of the information that you need to know what's going on with your network. Then we have SpeedFusion Connect, set up relay mode, choose cloud location, optimize cloud application, and connect clients to cloud. We're not going to be doing anything having to do with the cloud with this specific setup. We go over to network or networking. We see WAN 1, it's DHCP, NAT, always on. WAN 2, DHCP, NAT, always on. And then we have a mobile internet also, which is a PPP connection. This is not set up as of yet. Then we have IPv6 disabled and DNS over HTTPS is disabled. And finally, WAN quality monitor is on auto. I'm going to leave that on auto because maybe it just does what it should do in comparison to the other routers that I've tested. We'll give it the benefit of the doubt. What we're going to do is we're going to go to the dashboard, and we can see that WAN 1 and WAN 2 are currently connected. Let's start by figuring out which WAN is currently in use. We're seeing that we're getting some really great pings, which kind of has me worried because I haven't seen Starlink ping so consistent for quite some time. So let's go ahead and open a browser and go to what is my IP. I'll blur out my IP, but what's important here is this area right here. The ISP is SpaceX Service Incorporated. That's what we need to know. Now, once we pull this WAN 1 out, it should not say SpaceX any longer. It should say AT&T, but that's what we're going to find out. And what we're also going to do is monitor how long it takes for that switchover to happen. I'm going to roll a timer on my phone when I go and walk over to the router and see how many seconds it takes. And also, we're going to watch that ping to see how long of an outage it is moving from WAN 1 to WAN 2. All right, let's go get this done. All right, Well, I have a timer going, but it looks like it already did it. You see these pings? These pings that are 27, 29, 29, all these over here? This sounds like AT&T. I don't think there was an outage. Well, let me go ahead and refresh what is my IP right now and see what it is. Are you kidding me? Do you see what this says right here? ISP, AT&T? That was spontaneous. There was no, I ran a timer, but there was no reason to run a timer because I didn't even get an outage. Let me do a speed test on it just so we can see that this is AT&T. Might as well while we're sitting here. But just talking about this for a second, it literally switched from WAN 1 to WAN 2 in 0 milliseconds, in 0 seconds. Whereas the other ones that I've tested took forever. Now look at the download speed, 22.5. That's probably the best download speed that I've seen here from AT&T in weeks and weeks and weeks. Normally we get 20 max. As far as the upload speed, normally we're sitting at about 1.7, 1.8. And as we can see, we're getting about 1.79. So that's about right. That's what AT&T looks like. And as you can see, the pings just got clobbered when we did this test. And now that the test is over, we can see the pings are very consistent. You see this 43, 42, 44. So now I'm going to go and plug in the WAN 1, which is Starlink, and see how long it takes for it to do this switch. So I'm going to flop back over to here. This is the status page. And as you can see, we have no cable detected in WAN 1. I'm going to go plug this in and let's see how long it takes for this to change back over. All right, 3 seconds ago, I plugged it back in. It already says connected. So that connected immediately. Let me do what is my IP address. We can see it's a 9910 right now, which is AT&T. Now it is a 9897. That means that it has already switched over. So let's go back to speedtest.net and refresh this page from scratch. And it says that we're currently on AT&T, where it's a 99.10. Why that is, I really don't know. But that's okay. You know what? I'm going to run the test anyways and see what we get. Now, as we're running this test, let's look at the ping. Now, the ping is up to 158 milliseconds. We see a timeout. This is classic Starlink, but look at the speed. So obviously we know we're connected to Starlink, not only by the IP address, but just by these speeds. We're getting 113.32 down, and the up speed is currently right around 12. Let's see if it holds 12 or if it drops down. We held 12. So even though it's saying that, hey, we're currently connected to AT&T with an IP address that is 99.10, obviously, it just doesn't realize it. Maybe internal to Windows, it's not giving that information immediately. But obviously external, as we can see here at what is my IP address, it shows 98.97. And it showed it immediately. As soon as this went from disconnect to connected, it was just done. So as you can see here, it really does a good job at flip-flopping from WAN 1 to WAN 2, but not really flip-flopping, actually staying with it the entire time, almost like a true load balance would. So this is really what I've been looking for. So when we look at these pings, when you pull WAN 1 out, we don't see any dropping of pings. It just immediately picks up from WAN 2. That means it doesn't really have to fail over. It is all ready to go at any given time. That is really good. Once again, that is more like a load balance. The thing that we did see here is that we saw that almost capping of the data, the outbound data, when I would have a stream going. And I set that stream up to 3200 kilobits, for example. Well, once we fail over, it does not go back up to 3200 kilobits until you refresh what you're doing. Is that once again like a session problem that we saw with Trend or not? I'm not really sure. Is that a problem actually with OBS? That could be. So I'm going to dive into this a little bit deeper. But what I can say, without a shadow of a doubt, this new router, this PepLink router, okay, is by far the best. If you were to use this for general use, I think this would be, once again, by far the best because it has no failover time, right? There's no delay. There's no spooling. There is no missed pings. So when we take a look at those pings and it's pinging and pinging and pinging, and I just go yank WAN 1 and the ping never stops. That is pretty damn good, guys. That is exactly what we've been looking for. Exactly. And when I put WAN 1 back in and it continues pinging on WAN 2, and then all of a sudden within maybe 4 or 5 seconds, it starts pinging on LAN 1. So that is amazing. All right. That is exactly what we've been looking for, guys. Exact. Now, there's a couple of things here. Number one, the router itself is more money. Instead of being $100 or $150, or like the last router was $250, this one is $299. Okay, we're getting up in price, but we are now actually seeing something that's doing quote unquote load balancing and failover, and it's doing it well. Whereas the other ones say that they do load balancing and they don't. The other ones say that they do failover and they kind of half-ass it. They really don't. All right, this one actually does it. Another thing that I have a problem though with this Peplink people is that I tried contacting them because I wanted to ask them some questions. There's no number. I can't find a number. If you guys have a number in the comments below, all right, put the phone number because I would like to ask them some questions to help you guys out and help myself. But I only saw like a ticket-based thing, and for what I'm doing here, it is very specific, as you can tell, very technical. To be able to write exactly the question and do it properly, it's going to be very difficult. Okay, I need to speak to someone. Whereas with TrendNet, you get on the horn, they answer within a couple of rings. They're like, "Hey, can we help you?" And it's like, "Yeah, you can," and they help you. All right. These people do not have that. So I looked it up, and it does show that they are based in California. So you would think that they would have that help local, but they don't. It seems to all be ticket-based or some type of something. If you have a link to them, let me know. If you have a phone number, let me know what that number is, and I will give them a call. Also, if you guys have another router that you want me to test out, once again, down in the comment area, let me know what that router is. Maybe it does even a better job than this. But as of right now, out of all the routers that we tested, and we've tested like 6, I think now or something, maybe this is the 7th, I don't know. We tested a lot. This is by far, hands down, the best. That works more like an appliance that I'm used to, a Cisco in the NOC, where you have a fiber type of switch or a router that actually works and it does what it's supposed to do. When you say load balance across this switch of 20 WANs or 20 connections, it does it. This actually is doing it. We need to work on a couple of things, but still, it is doing it. Anyways, guys, I hope you've gotten something out of this. I will keep making these videos for you as long as you want me to. If you don't, just tell me just to shut up, and I'm okay with that also. If you like this video, please throw it a thumbs up, and once again, share it with friends, family, colleagues, Reddit, on Facebook, or wherever, trying to grow this channel out. Also, if you just want to simply say thank you for all the time that I'm putting into this, you can hit this button down here that says thank you, or even better, become a member of the channel. That would be awesome. And finally, head over to my website, JCristina.com, where you can find all the photography tools that I've invented for you and me over the years, and hopefully there's something there that you might like. And if there is, please pick it up and support me and my family. That's it, guys. I'm out of here for yet another vlog. Many blessings to you and your family. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you in the next one. Love you all.